First and foremost, you need to ask yourself, why is it that you want to start a podcast? Because a lot of times people start a podcast for the sake of starting one, but there's no, what's the goal? What's going to be the end goal? Do you want more visitors? Do you want more connection? Do you want to monetize?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another exciting episode of Mick Unplugged. And today's guest is the firebrand behind a podcast that amplifies the voices too often unheard. She's a mentor, a motivator, and a microphone for purpose. She's someone that I met at a conference, and immediately I was like, this is my new best friend. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for the amazing, the unforgettable, the unapologetic, Miss Sonja Keeve. Sonja, how you doing today, dear?
I'm good, Mick. Man, I'm like, who is he talking about?
I am talking about you, and you know that I am talking about you. So, Sonia, like it is so amazing. We're at a conference, there's a little breakout moment, and we just started talking like we've known each other forever,
I
right?
know. Yeah,
Like
yeah.
the synergy that was there. And I always have this thing about amazing people. You know them when you feel them. And I
Mm.
felt you that day. And so I wanted to tell you that, like, you have amazing energy. You're an amazing person, but I felt you that day. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it was definitely an honor to meet you. Like he said, when you were on that stage and you were giving your keynote, I was just like, God, I need to know more about him. And when I heard that you had podcast show, like all the tingles started because I love meeting people of color who are in this space because
Right.
it's so near and dear to me. And so anytime I get the opportunity to meet another fellow podcaster, I'm just like, yes, I need to know more about you. So indeed, the pleasure was all mine.
Amazing. And so now we get to learn more about you.
Mm-hmm.
And, on the show, I always talk about your because, that thing that's deeper than your why, that thing that really keeps you going and motivated to do what you do. So I'd love to ask you, like, what's your because? Why do you do all these amazing things that you continue to do on a daily basis?
Well, the funny thing is, when I tell this story, I never thought, number one, that I would ever be in the podcasting industry. It was not
Mm,
something on my bucket list. It wasn't something on a vision board. I wasn't even in my purview. But after my third corporate layoff, I got really tired of being in spaces and being shut down. I
mm,
would always hear just like words, just like you said, your energy is electric. I love, what you bring to the space. And then when I bring it, I'm always told to, can you just dim your light for a second? Can you not be so ambitious? Can you not be so energetic? And it was like, I don't know any other way to be. Like, if you're looking for someone to do the things that you need in your company, I'm going to be that. And it was almost like people did not really get to know me. They saw my resume, they saw my experience, but then it was like, oh, you really are who you say you are. And that was just so confusing for me. And when I went through that third corporate layoff, it was like, you know what? I am tired of allowing other people's opinion of me to dictate my destiny, to dictate where I'm going to be. And so went really on a 40-day fast. And
mm.
I really just went to God to say, listen, you know, I don't know who I am. I thought it was these corporate titles that I was chasing. I went to college. I did all the things people told me to do, and yet I'm still getting the short end of the stick. So, what is my calling? What am I supposed to do? Like, I want to leave this impact in the world. Like, when people call my name, it is synonymous to greatness, it's synonymous to excellence. But what is that? And
Yeah.
podcasting ended up being the space, but it was a space that I created for other women because I wanted to find other women who needed advocacy, who wanted them to speak up for them. And so
Yeah.
when I created my show, Inspiring Nations, it truly was just for women to tell stories of how they inspire others every day. But what I found in the stories was that women were sharing with me at the end of every episode thanking me for creating this safe space because no one else was,
Yeah.
because they didn't have 10,000 followers or they weren't a celebrity. They were just ordinary, everyday women. And I thought to myself, you're not ordinary, you're extraordinary
Yeah.
because you are being vulnerable to tell your story that's going to help the next woman who is in this steps space that you are in right now. And so your story is going to resonate. And what I didn't realize was that the show was going to be heard all the way around the world. And I was just
Mm.
concerned with just tapping into my local community. But what it ended up doing was it impacted the world.
That's amazing, Sonia. And so speaking of storytelling, and you know Les Brown is one of my mentors, and
Mm-hmm.
I like to call him the greatest storyteller
Yes.
that the world has ever
Mm-hmm.
listened to, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How have you seen storytelling and the coaching and mentoring that you do? How have you seen that impact the lives of others? Like you teaching someone how to tell their story, how to
Mm-hmm.
be comfortable. And I think that's another thing,
Yeah.
being comfortable to tell your story, because a lot of times we're like, oh, my story doesn't need to be
Mm-hmm.
heard, but
Mm-hmm.
there's a million people that are going through what we're going through. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they just need that confidence and that voice
Yes.
that says, I can do it too. So
Yes.
how have you seen it transform lives?
Well, the funny thing is, the stories that were told on my show actually inspired me
Mm.
because what it did for me was it validated the work that
Yeah.
I was doing. Um, and I didn't do it for the applause. I
Hmm.
simply did it because I just wanted to help the other person because no one did it for me.
Yeah.
And what the storytelling did was it gave the women who came onto the show the confidence to let go of the shame. It
Yeah.
allowed them to release what they had been holding on to for so long. And they end up finding their own purpose through their
Mm.
storytelling. And they
Mhm.
started building businesses. They started creating community. They started to build relationships. Families were healed. I mean, it really became a mission and a movement at Inspiring Nations. And it started, and I tell people, I started my show literally in the corner of my dining room with a laptop and a dream.
Yeah.
And I did not realize Inspiring Nations was going to grow as much as it did. And I was forever blessed because I watched many of these women who started these businesses with just one product or one
Hmm.
service. And some of them have gone on to have six and seven, eight-figure businesses. Some have gone back to school. Some have healed broken relationships with their families. And when I go out in public and I do the whole 30-second pitch and tell them who I am, what I do, and I tell them, oh well, yes, and I have a podcast show. It's called Inspiring Nations. And then someone says, oh my God, I actually listened to your show and I heard this episode when you were speaking to the woman who was in the bed who had multiple strokes. And I was like, and these are people I had never met, never knew anything about, but they were discovering my show. And the funny thing is, my clients will probably kill me, but I don't always publicly talk about my show. It almost becomes an afterthought because I'm just telling my story of how I became a podcaster. But the show becomes an afterthought, and then someone says, "I heard your show," and they were like, "Wait a minute, what's your name?" And now telling my name, they're like, "You're the podcast queen," and I'm like, "Oh, I've been dubbed that." Like, and
Yeah.
it's so crazy to me because that, like I told you, this was not something in my purview. Like
Hmm.
my thought was I was an accountant by trade. I went to school, got an accounting degree. My goal was I was going to open up my own CPA firm one day, and
Yeah.
that was going to be it. I went from that to getting into the mortgage industry after 2008. The financial institutions collapsed. Went into the mortgage industry, was part of the banks that were too big to fail, and went
Hmm.
through corporate layoffs. And it was my losses that helped build the story for me. And when
Wow.
I began to tell my story, because I was just like the women who came on my show, I didn't think I had a story.
Right.
I don't want to share what I've been through. My story inspired them. And so they
Mm.
got the courage to tell their story because they were like, you are so authentic and real, and I want to be a part of your platform because there's something in your spirit that speaks to me that says I'm supposed to connect with you. And so I never take the connections for granted. And so that storytelling has been woven in my entire transition. Like, I feel like this has been my second act, because
Mm.
being, my birthday, by the way, is July 31st. And so,
Pause.
yeah.
Wait a second. Wait a moment.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. What?
Ladies and gentlemen, we have breaking news.
Uh-oh. What?
My birthday is July 31st.
You, you, are you serious?
So now even more that moment that we had totally makes sense.
Oh,
Totally makes sense.
wow.
July
Wow.
31st. That's
Yeah.
me.
Come on, future Leo. Yes.
Yes.
I love. Listen, I'm gonna tell you, and that is a very special day because it's not many people whose birthday is on the 31st of July. It's
Yeah.
like the
We
30th.
don't share too much, right?
And
Like we
and
got
the
to have
funny
our
thing
moment.
is, and people think when I tell, they're like, "Oh, your birthday's July 30th." I said, "No, there's 31 days in the month." You know,
Right.
so
Right.
yes, so coming up on the hills on my birthday, like, I have gone through this whole transition, that has been so beautiful because I it has allowed me to connect with so many people around the world. And so
Mhm.
I get to tell my story, and then the women and a few lucky gentlemen that have come onto the show get to tell their story, and I've watched their lives just transform because that story now is being heard halfway around the world, and someone else is being touched by their story. And it's like, it's all because this girl from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania created a show and had no idea it would be called Inspiring Nations, and it's
Mm.
doing exactly what it was designed to do. And I couldn't have done this show 20 years ago or even 30 years ago. It
Yeah.
happened in the time that it did because I needed to have my character built, but I was broken in the midst of it, that helped me build something that was beyond myself. So when we talk about because, I do this work because I was charged to set the mantle to inspire the next generation of women who need to open their mouths, share their story, and inspire a nation.
I love that. And so I want to talk directly to viewers and listeners right
Uh-huh.
now because there's somebody that's listening,
Uh,
that's watching, that they're like, I hear this,
mm-hmm.
but what's the first step that I need to take? How do I get the courage to share my story? What do I say with my story? Who do I tell my story to? I'd love for you to give what are the first few steps that you want that person to go do right now?
The first thing I want you to do is I want you to stand in front of a mirror, and I want you to look at yourself, flaws and all. And I want you to ask yourself the question: if I do not tell my story today, what will happen?
Mm.
Because a lot of times people are seeking what you have. They're
Yeah.
needing to be, they need to know that next step. And if you were your younger self on the other side of that and you were looking for you, what would you want to tell that person how to take that next step? And
Mm,
a lot of times it is as simple as, today, I want you to be present in the moment. And I want you to say, thank you for another day. Sometimes it's just that simple. We think
mm,
we have to have the right script, the perfect pitch, the whole nine. People connect to stories. People connect to the authenticity and the vulnerability. You know, I've had clients who have come that built their shows, and they come from horrific backgrounds,
yeah.
and they thought, I don't want people to know this about me. But a
Mm,
lot of times the story may be about you, but guess what? It's not for you. So
yeah.
if you can just get beyond feeling like, I don't know if I have the story to tell, your life is your story. So if you could just simply sit down and ask yourself, what is, if you were you, what would you want to know?
Mm,
Sometimes it's answering that question helps you develop the story that you need to tell.
yeah.
Because, and so it's like, and I think that's what people get so hung up on when it comes to a podcast. It's like, I don't want to tell I don't want to tell my story. I don't know if I have a story to even tell. But it's like, but you have to ask yourself the question, what if you did not tell your story? What would happen? And then you
Amen.
can go from there.
Amen. I love that. All right, Sonia, you ready to give everybody a short master class on podcasting?
Let's do it.
Because you are the queen of the mic, right? And
Oh,
so I shout out to one of my best friends, Daniel Song, who, if it were not for him and Ryan Hanley,
mm,
Robert Irvine, I wouldn't have started a podcast because they were
real.
like, you need to do it. I just wanted more YouTube content. They were like, nope, do a podcast. And I can be honest and transparent. I didn't see the vision. I
Mm-hmm.
promise you, I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I barely listen to them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't watch them.
Yeah.
So my buddy Daniel, though, is of the science that everyone should have a podcast.
Yes.
I'm of the belief that everyone should be on podcasts because running a podcast business, and I'm going to talk
Yeah.
about that,
Yeah.
the business of
Yeah.
podcasting, it's work. It's not something
Mm-hmm.
you can just do as a side gig or a little
Mm-hmm.
hustle here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you really want to get to the level of success
Mm-hmm.
that Sonya's gotten to, that she helps others get to, you got to treat it like a business.
Yes, you do.
So to start this masterclass, Sonya, like walk us through those that want to start a podcast or even take their podcast to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
What are some things we need to know first and foremost? Not even do, but what do you need to know about this industry, this business first and foremost?
First and foremost, you need to ask yourself, why is it that you want to start a podcast? Because a lot of times people start a podcast for the sake of starting one, but there's no, what's the goal? What's going to be the end goal? Do you want
Hmm.
more visitors? Do you want more connection? Do you want to monetize? What is it? What is going to be the overall goal of the podcast show? So first of all, ask that question. What's going to be the goal? Why do you want to start it? And what's going to be the goal? Once you understand the goal, then you need to tackle, who will you be speaking to? Who is this message for? Even though it's going to be heard globally, you'll
Hmm.
need to just bring it down to a singular person. Who is that ideal listener for your show?
Yeah.
Down to the demographics, like, are they male and female? You know, what do they do for a living? What are their pain points? Because your podcast show is going to be the solution. So, what problem is this show going to solve? Is it going to inspire, educate, inform? What do you want it to do? How do you want it to impact, and who you're speaking to? Because when you can understand who you're speaking to, then your messaging can connect to that listener. And so every time you're creating the content for your show, it always has to go back to that ideal listener, and then asking the question, what must my listener gain as a result of listening to the show? Because there are like 5 million podcast shows out there. And so when you think about that, what is that secret sauce that you bring? The first
Mm.
is people are connecting because it's you. You are the brand for your show. You
Right.
are the solution, you are the expert. And so when you can tap into that, every time you create your content, it's going to ask the question, did I meet my objective? And when you do that, when you get into those moments, because this industry, let me tell you, it can be very lonely
Mhm.
because you are in solitary rooms sometimes. I told you I did this from my dining room, but when you hear my show, you think that every guest I'm speaking to is literally sitting in my studio and they're halfway around the world. But
Right.
it's like podcasting is this intimate connection where your voice is coming through the airwaves and you're tapping into someone's soul. So when they finish listening to your show, they should feel like you are one, they're one of the family, they're part of your
Yep.
community. And so start with, why do you want to start one? Who are you speaking to? And what is the end result of your show? Once you can answer those three things, then it's really becomes a wash, rinse, and repeat from that step
Mm.
one.
I love it. I love it. So now let's talk to the podcaster that they've been doing it for a while,
Mm,
and now they're at the point where I hear that people make money with their podcasts,
uh-huh,
and I want to do that too,
uh-huh,
right? So now, if the end goal is monetization,
uh-huh,
what are some steps that those folks can take? Again, they've been doing it for a while,
uh-huh.
but now they want to make money.
Well, one of the easiest ways of making money is utilizing what's already in your hands. So, what books, products, or services do you already
Mhm.
have that you can advertise? Because guess what? Your podcast show is your advertising genie.
Yep.
You get to share and advertise your products, your services on your show. Why? Because it's your show. You don't have
Right.
to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for a 15-second ad. You create your own ad. So start with what's in your hand right now. So, had you written a book recently, or if you are launching a new program, guess what? Put it in your show. These are your
Mhm.
community people. So it's like, how do I do that? You say, hey, ladies and gentlemen, guess what? I just dropped my new book, Beyond the Mic, The Game Changing Guide to Podcasting. You can get it right now on Amazon. Go to this link and I'll send you an autographed copy today. Or visit my website at sonjakeeve.com. And what are they going to do? They're going to go to your website. And when they go to your website, guess what? You got your products, your services already there. So that's really the easiest way to start monetizing right away. Other
Right.
ways you can decide if you have guests that come on your show. It's a fine line, but some podcasters will charge guests to be on their show. But guess what? If you've been doing podcasting for a while, you've probably created a really large network or following. And so,
Mhm.
guess what? You're the expert. So, as people want to be guests on your show, it's like you're inviting them into your home, right? And
Yeah.
so, you get to go ahead and you can charge guests to be on your show, but also be clear what is the ROI for that guest. Because
Right.
sometimes that guest is when they can come onto your show. Guess what? They're now privy to all of your people,
Mhm.
and that's another way for for you to monetize because they're now tapped into your network. And then the ways that probably most people hear about are through sponsorships or affiliate programming. Like if you partner with companies, you can do affiliate partnerships and then
Mhm.
sponsorships. And then people tend to shy away from sponsorships because they're like, well, I don't have tens of thousands of downloads. Sometimes it's not about always how many downloads, but it's really about the quality of your content that can tap into the marketplace. So if you
Yeah.
are in a very specific niche, um, you can tap into that industry and then you could attract sponsors because they're seeing the value because you're constantly creating content on your show. You might have
Mhm.
amazing guests on your show, and people want to connect and be with you. And so Those are some ways that you can kind of monetize. But I'm a type of girl that says, listen, I like to work smarter and not harder. So start with what's already in your hands and then you can work your way up.
I love it. I love it. So, Sonia, you have a big event coming up soon, right around the
Yes.
corner. Let's talk to us about this event.
Yes, thank you so much, Mick, for putting that plug. Yes, we are hosting the annual Podcasters Rock Summit. This year is going to be September 27th. It's going to be a 1 day intimate summit. And what Podcasters Rock is the premier event, whether you're a podcaster, aspiring podcaster, or you're just thinking about it and going, what Podcasters Rock is. We've got some amazing speakers that have come to curate content for you to show you how to grow your podcast, monetize your podcast, how to book yourselves to get on podcast shows, and so much more. And so tickets are on sale. So if you go to Eventbrite and type in Podcasters Rock 2025, you'll see tickets on sale today. We have very limited seating because this is going to be an intimate space in a fabulous space here in Fredericksburg, Virginia. So if you are anywhere in the area, please come out. Even if you want to fly in, this is an event not to miss. I did not get a chance to do it the last 2 years because of COVID and other things that were happening. And people were like, when are you going to bring it back? So I listened to the people. And I said,
There you go.
okay, I'm bringing Podcasters Rock back. And so for 1 day, September 27th, from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., we will be in the beautiful city of Fredericksburg, Virginia at Success Space at the town center. So, listen, after the podcast conference, you can go to the mall, you can go shopping, and really enjoy this beautiful city, Fredericksburg, Virginia. And I cannot wait to see everyone in the place, including you, Mick.
Let's make it happen. Let's make it
Yes.
happen. I will make sure that I'm supporting.
Yes.
Sonia, where can people find and follow you?
Yes, thank you so much for the time on your show. And so,
Mhm.
for more information to follow me, you can visit my website at sonjakeeve.com. That's SonjaKeeve. Or you can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram at Sonja Keeve.
Look at that, making it easy for everyone to follow. You all do me a favor. Please go follow Miss Sonja Keeve. She's an amazing person. And as you just heard, we share the same birthday. Sonia, thank you so much. I know you are so busy. So for you to take some time out of your schedule means the world to me. I can't wait to connect and collab with you more. So I just wanted to personally thank you for being the amazing human that you are.
Thank you, my brother. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you back. And for all the viewers and listeners, remember your because is your superpower. Go unleash it.